Hi there. Welcome yet again to the veritable edge of Western civilization, Venice Beach, California, or Californication, as you will. Today is Monday, September 15th, 2014. This is show number 70. Oh yes, I said 70. That means 7. Oh. That's like we have entered the 7 harmonic shows. What's cool about 7 is it's the only number between 1 and 10 that doesn't divide evenly into 360, but instead creates what's known as a transcendental number that repeats to infinity. So, it's a friggin' beautiful day here in Venice Beach. Take a quick look around a little bit. Went for a little, went for a swim this morning, noon, and the water is just epic, of course. It's wonderful. But it's definitely a day for using the old spray bottle. That's right, spray bottle. Spray bottle. Simple pleasures. Simple friggin' pleasures. I've been actually spraying people as they walk by all day. All the hot people look like, you really need to get some of this. So, anyway. This is how far we got over the weekend on the piece. We're going to finish it today. Trying the unforeseen times. Hey there. If you've watched the earlier shows, I started this piece actually on my birthday, did the background, and then I went to Burning Man and I came back, and I was inspired by the dome, the pentagonal dome that they have at Sierra Hot Springs in Sierraville, California. And they have this dome over over one of the main pools there, and you can if you Google it and hit the images button, you'll see the inside of the dome, and I spent a fair amount of the day that I was there staring up at the dome, and I got the idea of making an attempt at recreating it, and this isn't it, but it's inspired by it. So I'll probably try to do it again because it's very intricate. And what I like about it is it's like a soccer ball in that it's a mixture of both the hexagram and the pentagram. Hexagonal geometries and pentagonal geometries. So, had a great weekend. The weekend the weather was just like this. As the LAPD started cracking down on the people that were in violation of the new version of the vending ordinance here, there was plenty of space when I rolled out at 11 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday in my laid-back style. So it was good. And I went swimming both days out there. It's magnificent. What a great way to start the day, you know. Let me go bob up and down in the Pacific Ocean. What a blessing. I was thinking about it this morning when I keep saying morning, but it was actually afternoon. It's all relative, right? But I was thinking about it, just how blessed. It was kind of a funny moment, you know. I was like, getting into the water was kind of gnarly because the waves are a little bit big, and there's a what do you call it, a thing that draws you out, which is a rip can draw you out. You have to kind of watch out where you are, otherwise it'll take you out. And the last thing we want is to alert the lifeguards to any reason to leave the tower. So the more I paid attention to the waves, the more waves there were. But then when I laid my head back and just let my feet and legs float up and relaxed into that, the ocean calmed down. It was really cool. Yep, that's it. So, you know, I had that big breakthrough in my attempts at astral projection and lucid dreaming on Friday, and then you know, the big challenge was to try to repeat and build on that. Over the weekend, had some experiences. You know, it's at this point I'm really working on coming awake in my sleep, and which is something I do all the time. But it's one thing to be awake in your sleep. It's another thing to know that you're awake in your sleep, and to know that you know that you're awake in your sleep. Because then you could actually like make choices that you would make if you were in your conscious state. This would be a really big and very important thing, you know, beforehand. So you just, you know, you have a little meeting with yourself. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And if you just say that enough times, enough days in a row, eventually that's what you're going to do. You know?
It'll come.
So there's this state called the vibratory state that in, you know, people that study astral projection, you know, practice it and teach people how to do it. They call it the vibratory state, where you can actually feel this vibration going throughout your whole body, you know. And this morning I was playing with that. I was turning it on and off and turning it on and off. You know, like whenever I remember. You know, I'm asleep in theory, or on the verge of going in and out of sleep. And when I would remember, I would, you know, try to create that vibratory state, because that's like a precursor and or an actual uh, technique. Once you generate that state, you can just keep working on that, and it's a method for going out of your body. You know? So my goal, obviously, is to go out of my body with 100% lucidity. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm committed, and I'm studying it so that I can share with people how they can do it too. Because when you go out of your body, you have direct access to the ultimate reality, and which is just all knowledge and wisdom and love and awareness and compassion, you know, all the yummy stuff. And I have some questions. Also, one of my my focus right now is is if in my life I'm um, out of alignment with my optimum potential, to be returned to 100% alignment with my optimum potential. So, and I look at, um, I got some messages on my birthday about that. And I was listening to the radio, and there was a woman talking about, and she said, no, I repeated this on my show, and I said, what she said is that if you're if you are not, if you're doing what you love, but it's not, you know, providing for you, you know, it's not supporting itself and that kind of thing, then you're most likely out of alignment, you know. And so I've been, for a long time, for a couple of years now, I've been considering that possibility that, you know, what is it that I'm doing or not doing that I ought to be doing, you know. And when I was on the road 2 weeks ago, you know, doing the Burning Man trip, I thought about it a lot, and it felt like hey, for years I've been aware that what I'm doing is underperforming in terms of, you know, providing for myself and it to perpetuate. You know, it's barely performing. It's really what it is. And it's like being in a holding pattern. When I was on the road, and you know, trying to, and the car, dealing with the car was like a metaphor, you know, the car breaking down, the car would work right, and you know, that going through that pattern over and over and over again until eventually I thought that I fixed it, you know, and it was running a lot better and everything, or so it seemed, but that was because I was driving at night. And so for a whole day, I was laboring under the illusion that I had fixed it, and in that day, I considered that, well, what you know, what would like my life be like if I didn't have to worry about the car anymore? I had full use of the car, and the car was in a position where I could use it and drive wherever I wanted to.
Hey man,
What?
you do agree when in the future I might pick it up in 2026. A guy and a girl dancing in the stars. Just a guy and a girl.
Right? So, actually painted that painting already. I don't know if you heard what he said. It's the brother that goes to the garbage cans. His name's Michael. He's, you know, psychologically challenged, and he has a goal. You know, they're playing with their brain or something. Anyway, he said, yeah, you know, he said, he said that he wants me to paint him a painting, and he wants to pick it up in 2026. And he wants a painting of a guy and a girl dancing in the stars, you know. And I actually painted that painting already back in 1993 at a rainbow gathering of this couple that is, you see the earth rotating beneath them, and they're basically making love in the heavens. So, yeah, it's another story. So anyway, what we got? What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So for a whole day, that whole day at the hot springs, I was thinking that I fixed the car, and I was thinking, okay, well, I fixed the car, and I can go wherever I want. I can do whatever I want now, and it felt really great to know that I fixed the car, you know, for one thing. But then, you know, having the use of a fixed car is a whole other story, and not having the limitation that I've been laboring under for the past almost 2 years now, of, you know, having the use of a car and the responsibility of a car that has something wrong with it that I don't know what it is, and I, you know, it's unreliable. I don't know when it's going to break down, and you know, it's like removing that variable from your life, you know, gives you a certain measure of freedom, right? Well, I was looking at that as kind of a metaphor. It's like, well, if there's this one thing, this one area of my life that's improved through, you know, this whole focus on trying to come into alignment with my full potential, then you know, what else can I do? What else? What else is? What's the next target for improvement? You know, and I will tell you, it felt wonderful. It felt very liberating. You know, it's like I freed up all this energy of anxiety and concern. You know, not the least of which was like knowing whether or not I was going to be able to make it back to LA, and in what shape, and if indeed with the car. So I learned a lot that day about that. And then, you know, that the next day when I attempted to drive with the car in the daylight, and it took me all day to go 50 miles, that was also instructive, because it's like when it first started breaking down, it was like, oh boy, here we go again. And this is coming after a sense of liberation. And then the realization that that was in some ways an illusion, but it may have been an illusion, but it was also an inspiration in the same way that watching a movie can be inspiring. Speaking of which, you know, last night I watched this movie, the documentary on the guitarist Jimi Hendrix, called "Hear My Train A-Comin" on Netflix, and I highly recommend watching that movie, because it's all about his music. You know, it's just straight. There's nothing. You know, they only talk about the whole drug thing for a few moments, and they don't really get into it. You know, and but the rest of it is all about his music, and it's all done with interviews with people who knew him, and archival footage and whatnot. And what's interesting is I know somebody here on the boardwalk. His name's Zach, and I remember the day that he showed up here on the boardwalk, like right there, and it was like maybe 3 years ago. And you know, he came into town in the middle of the winter with the whole posse of these street kids, and all the street kids are gone except Zach. Now there must have been about a dozen of them, and he's an incredible guitarist. He's the sort of person that he doesn't even have to know. He doesn't even have to ever have known the song before. He'll just start playing. You know, have an idea for somebody will name a song, and he'll just start playing that. And he's an African American. And he actually looks like Jimi Hendrix. When you see the movie, you see the way that he talks, and that's exactly how Zach talks. I mean, there's similar mannerisms and everything. It's pretty funny. And I mentioned it when I watched it. And he's you know, until recently, I don't know why, but why recently it changed, but you would always see him with the guitar. He'd always be picking on a guitar. And oh, hey, you know what happened last night? I whacked myself in the eye with a bungee cord. Yeah, that was a moment of truth, let me tell you. It was like the last thing in loading my stuff into the car. The last thing I had to do was to lash it down. And I pulled up this bungee cord, and it snapped. And whacked me right in the eye, and I just it's one of those moments where you just cover up, and you're just in pain for a second, and then you realize that you're generating the pain, you know? So you just relax, and the pain goes away. But, you know, for a moment there, I'm like, am I feeling flesh? Am I feeling loose flesh? You know, how bad is it going to be? You know? And I was really freaking lucky. Hello.
Gallery or something, man.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks. Great. Thanks again.
All right, got it.
There was a moment there where I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do the show. I actually thought about it. I was like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to do the show for a couple of days because didn't know if I'd be able to see out of my eye. But I relaxed. I just sat there or laid down there for a moment. All right, a couple moments, and went in and just relaxed. And probably generated a little Reiki on the eye, and there was a little. When I finally opened my eye, there was a little part that was a little weird, but for the most part, there was no discomfort, and yeah, it didn't hurt anymore, and I was really lucky, really lucky. So check those bungees a little closer next time before I use them. That's for sure. Otherwise, I'd be wearing an eye patch for the rest of my life. You know, it was like that. So yeah, the theme is fulfilling my full potential.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Oh, excuse me, sir.
Yep.
That is very beautiful.
Thank you very much. I was going for very beautiful. Said Mr. Smarty Pants, or Smarty Shorts, as the case may be. That's that. Alrighty then. Let's try this. Shall we? Show number 70.
Right up there.
By the end of the week, we'll be at show number 75. Plus 36. Getting there. What do we got? And what time is it? Weather's supposed to be like this through Wednesday, which is wonderful.
You know what? Put it with your Tina. Oh yeah, you go back to Tina.
I'm going to call that it for now. So that's that for now. Hi. Hi there. Thank you.
Still work in progress?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Is it still work in progress?
I think it's done.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's a combination of the hexagram and pentagram. Yeah.
You know the people who do that on the sidewalk and talk? Like they're,
Yes.
do they come here? I've only seen them in
Yeah, not very often. Just people don't really support.
We've been in and out. So it's not gonna walk.
Yeah, I think Santa Monica is a better place to get to that.
No, that's just what it reminds me of, like perfect sacred jam and geometrical.
Yep, that's what I do.
It's very lovely.
When's it going to happen?
December 2nd.
Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Are you a Sagittarius?
No, I'm an Aquarius.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know that your sons are going to be, you know what's your birthday?
My birthday's January 28th.
Right. So your sons are sextile. It's a 60-degree angle, and that means that you're going to get along.
Aquarius and Sag. Yeah, my little sister, I was born in 91, she was born in 2000, and we get along, she's a Sag.
Right.
We get along. Like,
Yeah, like almost never argue.
Peanut butter
kind of thing, you know? Yeah, it's a good, it should be easier.
yeah, the rest of my family's like Taurus. They're all
So it's a square.
put down.
They're trying to ram you with their horns.
Yeah.
Well, there's stubborn.
Yeah,
Stubborn
but,
Europeans.
but it's a 90-degree angle, right? And that's a really challenge to really, you propel one another forward a bit more. It's great if you're in a relationship.
The 90-degree angle of the signs or of the sun.
Of the sun. The sun sign. So,
Very good. So that's, you're all,
I'm an astrologer.
you're to the hop about all that.
I'm hip to the hop, yeah. I never heard it expressed that way exactly, but I have to agree. I'm hip to the hop. That was cool. I'm hip to the hop. Alrighty, let's watch some of this if we can. I don't know what of it you can see, but it's just friggin' beautiful. Puppy. Yeah. Oh yes. Hi there. Want water?
Oh, he's probably okay. Yeah.
Let's try.
Okay.
Water? How is it? So, 20.
Third one down, still on the left. Yeah.
Great story.
Other side of the door.
Well, I was in the I was in Bethlehem for the Christmas Eve 1999, and I ran into a friend of mine from here, and her name was Kala. She had dark hair, long dark hair like you know. And I asked her what she wanted for Christmas. She said, "I want a fire." So I said, "Okay, I know I'm living in an abandoned Palestinian village on the edge of Jerusalem, so we'll just hike over there, you know." So we did, and this village is like a couple thousand years old. There's no plumbing or anything like that, and it's been abandoned since 1948. And the Israeli army went in there and blew holes in all the roofs, right? And so it's a full moon, and so this village looks like an Escher painting, right? Like the houses are built on top of one another, and it's made out of this Jerusalem stone, this white Jerusalem stone. It's just beautiful limestone, and there's these archways, and there's no glass or anything. It's all blown out, right? So I pick a room and build a fire in the middle of the room, and she picks up this white sheet and wraps it around her and stands in front of the fire. You know, when you first start a fire, how it gets it starts to smoke, right? So the smoke fills the room and it accents the shaft of moonlight coming through the roof, and she stands in the middle of that. She's standing in front of the fire, and I was behind her, looking out the window. I turned around, and this is what I saw. And her name is Kala, which means K-A-L-A. It means the vessel of the spirit, right? And in this case, Ka means the vessel of the spirit, the vessel of the light, right? And La means the light, so the vessel of the spirit of the light. You know? Ooh.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The universe did that.
The universe is a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you think?
Yeah.
Shall we look around a little?
Shall we look around?
Yeah, really.
A little bit?
Yeah. So you're on camera now. See? Yeah, I do a live stream at 6.
Oh, nice.
And
For everybody who wants to check out Venice.
yeah. Yep.
Very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it.
Yep.
I just moved to this place. I love creativity. I'm a creative mind. So I just love it.
Yeah. What do you do?
I'm a lifestyle coach. So I help people think positively about their bodies and food, create new ways, meditations for them to live a fit lifestyle. So I combine the two of my loves, fitness and also spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Sounds good. Did you go to school for that? What'd you go?
I went to Johns Hopkins University.
For?
For writing, because I'm a writer.
Uh-huh.
I started writing for like magazines and things like that, and talk about like what is, like all the all the things that are on the surface level. Journal studies going on. So I need to get back to the source of why. Why do I feel like? Why does this work? Why does this happen? And then eventually you get to a point in your life where you shift and you realize that what is not really what is. And the physical body is not really what is.
Yeah,
There's
really.
something beyond it.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to go back to source, like the resources, journal studies. I think my whole life has been a journey to get back to the real source. And
yes.
people realize that when they step into their own power, they're able to do whatever they want. Their lives transform it. They can also radiate into your life.
Yes.
And so I encourage you to live more fully.
Right.
And so they keep doing what they like to do. Like, you didn't have your health, you'd be standing here right now. Like, most
So what's your how old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh really? When's your birthday? So you just turned 29. Okay. So I'm an astrologer.
Yeah.
So you're aware of the Saturn return that you're going through right now?
I'm starting to come out of it. I had my shift.
Sure.
I had my shift.
Sure.
I went through it hardcore.
You're still going through it. But
When am I gonna come out of it? Because I'm ready. I'm like, I have so much light.
But here, it doesn't work like that. We're talking about a physical planet. Talking about the astronomy of the situation is physical planet has to pass where it was when you were born. Okay. Now we can take a look and see exactly where it was when you were born, what degree, whatever. But I can tell right off the bat that you most likely have it in Scorpio. Right. It's like right in the middle of Scorpio. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Honest to goodness, it's actually good for you.
Well, I've had a lot of confusion in the past few years. I used to be so on point with my athletics, my career, and being like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it. Decisions were so easy, and now it's like I'm combating two worlds as far as I meditate and just not do it. I want to dive more into the spiritual. And then I have this fitness, this everything I've done and built, and it's like making that shift and that leap and having my consciousness expand. I moved from Venice Beach to here to be more nearby. I just go with the flow of things, and I'm trying to create what I've always wanted to create, which is like this website. I have a logo, I have pieces, I have fragments. I started working with different coaching of what I want to do to like go more into the spiritual realm. But I have to write about myself for this copy, right? And about what I do. It's the hardest thing. It's like, what is my inner spark? What is that? What
Structure.
Do I talk about God? Do I talk about how do I relate God and fitness and
yes.
in the way that
you do.
and in the way that I felt connected when I grew up. I'm a little bit like introvert extrovert, so I grew up like in the woods, like alone, with like, nature all around me. And it's like, how do I let people? The thing is, I've been a writer for a long time. I always have written about surface level things, and I've always wanted to write, like this best-selling book and everything, and like I just know I can. It always starts off with, as a kid, I always knew I was something really big one day. And so I'd walk through the woods, I get this feeling, and it was like this aliveness and the guidance and intuition. And it's like everyone has their own experiences with that, and with spirit. It's just like, how do you put that together? How do you putting everything that I feel when I meditate is more beautiful than when I try to downwrite it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never feel like it's enough. That's something that I've had to work through, is like feeling of enough.
What's your name? Come around.
Getting that crystal made over here because I came here yesterday. I was
You wrap.
Huh?
Wrap.
Yeah. I was so drawn to this one crystal, and I was like saying what I was going through, and he was like, well, maybe you can look up what it is. I looked up organization, so organization of my thoughts, and the one that I picked was order, and so I was drawn to this really drawn.
You realize that Saturn, with order and organization, both Saturn themes, right?
So what does that mean?
So, what's your relationship with your dad?
Oh, my dad's my best friend.
I believe you. Now, when you were 14 years old, how did it go then?
I had some trauma when I was a kid. So it was between my parents, obviously, just being between my parents. But I healed it, and it's crazy. I released my shit. I did a tea ceremony, and I released a lot of it, and I had to everything awesome.
So your mother was, when you were 14, was not a good thing?
Not a good thing until recently.
Okay. So, see, that's part of this. All those themes that were going on when you were 14 can be repeated. Whatever was unresolved then can be resolved now, because that was when Saturn was halfway around the sun from when you were born. Okay, and now it's returning to where it was when you were born. So,
Just for everyone here or here.
It doesn't matter. There we go. It's all right. It's all right.
So I was seeing this guy, and I started, and like I had feelings of my first boyfriend, which was like when I was 14. The pain I never healed from that. So I've been healing things from my past.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Saturn return.
Right.
You heal things from your past.
Yes.
Because things happen. And they come up, and then I have flashbacks to those other things.
Yes.
And then I have to then I not only feel what I'm going through, but I feel everything I never allowed myself to feel.
Yes. It's a, but what most people don't realize is that part of this, there's another thing that's going on at the same time that the Saturn return is occurring. Okay? And it has to do with what's known as your progressed moon. Okay? The progressed chart in general is, if you picture the chart every day of the world, every day after you were born, okay? So you're 29, so we look at the chart for the 29th day after you were born to see the progressed chart for the 29th year of your life, okay? And it happens to take 29.5 days for the moon to go around the sun. Moon to go around the earth, right? So that means that it takes 29.5 years for the progressed moon to go around. So the progressed moon returns to where it was when you were born. So you're not only having the Saturn return, you're also having the progressed lunar return as well. And the moon is all this emotion, and so most people don't know that, a lot of the emotional issues, right? So a lot of the issues that having to do, emotional issues have to do with this progressed moon thing that go through at the same time as the Saturn return. Because Saturn takes 29.5 years to go around, so they're both they work together to
So I have to wait till I'm 29 and a half?
No, you're not waiting, are you? Right. I'm just saying that these are the themes of this year, and you're, when was your birthday?
July 1st.
July 1st. So you're, 2/12 of the way through it, right? 1/6 of the way through it. And this is not something to be endured, right? It's something to be made the most of, because the more you squeeze the lemon out of this baby, the easier the rest of your life is going to be.
So well, that's what I feel like. I feel like in all my meditations, I've been healing everything that has been coming up, and letting them go and find ways to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
But is it a good time to still go forward with everything, all of my intentions and dreams and everything, or is it? Because sometimes I feel like people are saying in Saturn, or Mercury and things like that, people don't make decisions. Is it okay to still go forward with everything?
Of course. Yes. Press every button, pull every string.
But
don't hold back.
But is it something where it's well, you're not going to reach full clarity until you've gone through it?
So what? Half clarity is better than no clarity. If you feel an inclination at this time, the way that the best use of this is, if you feel an inclination to move in, but it's you'll move in that direction, and then you'll get another intuition that says you need to move in this direction. That you wouldn't have made that move, either one of them, if you just stayed back doing whatever the heck it was you were doing before. And you can't know to make that second move unless you move to another perspective, right? So I'm just saying, follow whatever intuitions you're having now. Turn over every friggin' stone that you can. Make the most of this. This is this is a pivotal moment in your life. This is a deciding moment. It's going to determine how you're going to live the rest of your life. And it's meant to be, at this time, you know, the 2 year. It's really the Saturn return is really the 2.5 years before the actual return of Saturn to its natal position.
Let's see, that makes sense of why I can't find like the order and everything I want, like the message I want, and I'm not all of everything that I want. I'm like trying to make it happen so much, trying to make it happen. I'm putting the intentions in there. I feel like they're not all coming about because I still have things left to learn.
Yes,
you know, it's like
you'll always have things left to learn.
But you know, you might have desires in your heart. The thing is, everything's meant to be lived, so you cannot fully experience it until you're ready to fully live it.
Yeah.
So it's like I know. I know what I'm meant to be doing. I know my purpose. I know my direction. I can see where I am, where I'm going to be. Like I can really tune into that, and I think it's just finding comfort with it.
You know, Saturn is the planet of purpose. It's a planet that rules the midheaven and the 10th house of mission and purpose in life, okay, and career.
That's what I'm going through. It's my career right now.
But it's also the planet of karmic lesson. So wherever it shows up in your chart, it tells us what your karmic lesson for this incarnation is.
How do you read your chart? How do you like read into your chart?
What do you mean? How do you read?
Like how do you like know what your lessons are that you're supposed to learn? And,
well,
like I have a friend that
you can tell what someone's karmic lesson is by looking and seeing the position of Saturn in their chart, right? Your karmic lesson, if it's in, I keep saying Sagittarius. If it's in Sagittarius, mine is in Sagittarius. If it's in Scorpio, your karmic lesson has to do with divine communion through sexuality, death, transformation, rebirth, hidden knowledge, shared resources, power, immortality, reveling in the great mystery, and sharing out its secrets. It has to do with what month is Scorpio? Scorpio is beginning in the end of October, the beginning of November.
Makes sense that the guy that I dated and everything, he's a Scorpio, and he like a good balance for me. Does that make sense?
Good, sure, why not?
I don't know, because sometimes I read too much into things.
It's okay, you're allowed.
So when you said
rule number one. Excuse me. Rule number one: never hurt yourself. Rule number two: always refer back to rule number one. Sure. If it's in Scorpio, your karmic lesson is. Sure.
See, everything always has purpose. I just get this once in a while with party at night and networking. Sometimes I get enjoyed.
Yeah, really.
I'm a Cancer sign, so I'm like I'm really watery. I want to just like do things that just make me feel fulfilled spiritually.
Who's that guy?
This is Quincy.
Hey, Quincy, how you doing, Bubba?
It's making me first.
My grandmother had Yeah. Hey, it's David Alexander English. I'm the president of the union.
All right, David. And then he said,
okay. If your Saturn is in Scorpio, then that means your karmic lesson has to do with divine communion through sex, shared resources, power, immortality, reveling in the great mystery, and sharing out its secrets. You're welcome. My work is done here. Up, and away. I can be a little dramatic.
I love it.
So, anyway,
Thank you so much.
you're entirely welcome.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Hugging.
Thank you. That's totally necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have any more questions, I love answering. Everyone is. Yeah, you can.
Have the light.
Sure you can. By knowing exactly where Saturn is in your natal chart. Yep. When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
July 1st.
What's your name?
Kelly.
Kelly. You're the second Kelly of the day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, my first customer was Kelly.
Oh, cool.
Kelly what?
Gonzalez. G-O-N.
G.
G-O-N.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Z-A-L-E-Z.
that's good. I just need to, I've got a lot of Kellys in here. So, there you go. It's all right. And then birth date?
July
7.
1.
Year was it? 85? What time?
I think like 10, something like 10 something.
AM or PM?
AM.
10 AM?
Something like that.
Yeah, we'll
Does it
just go with
matter?
that. Well, no, we'll just go with that. And where was it?
In
Navy or something?
no.
Annapolis. And
Watches your live web stream.
I don't know. Freaks of nature. Don't worry about it. I don't have that much of a following. Let's do this. Comma. Continue. No.
Maryland.
I know. You know, it's not going to make that much difference for this because we're just checking the. We're just checking the position of Saturn. Looking. Oh yeah, it's at 21 degrees.
So what does that mean?
That means that, and where you see where it is right now in the sky,
Yeah.
the green one on the outside. So let's see where it is right now exactly. Saturn is at 18 degrees. So
Close.
yes, I knew that. It's going to be. It'll be another. It was going retrograde. It went up to 20, I think, or 22. It already went up to yours. Then it went retrograde back to about, I think like 9 degrees. I'm thinking 9 degrees.
Was that, you know what that
Scorpio?
probably was? Maybe that's what I had my dream came true and then it crashed.
That you crashed?
No, like I had my dream come true and then it didn't come true.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, there's another chance. What's going to happen is, so for the past year, it went up to yours, crossed it, then went retrograde backwards across it, went all the way back to 9 degrees Scorpio.
Nine's my favorite number.
Good. And it stood there for a little while, and now it's moving towards it again, and it's going to cross it and go on past it and all that kind of stuff. And that'll happen sometime between now and most likely, I would guess, Halloween.
I'm almost there. All the pieces
You're almost
are coming
there.
together.
It's almost happening. You're welcome. Isn't it wonderful?
Thank you.
Stay tuned.
I'm so happy.
A pleasure.
It was my pleasure.
Yep. Oh. All right. Well, another satisfied customer. So the new Venice lights have come on, and the sun is set, and I need to hurry up and pack up. And so, what do we got? That's probably a better one. Put this baby right there. And remember, I love you.